What happens when a 25-year-old woman walks into Judge Judy's courtroom claiming a man abandoned his 3-year-old son? And she brings photos, text messages, and even a DNA test to prove it, only for Judge Judy to discover the child doesn't even exist. That's exactly what happened when Talia Grant decided to turn motherhood into a trap. She didn't come to court alone. She came with a carefully constructed story, a thick folder of evidence, and a plan. Ruin her ex on national television, win easy cash, and walk away as the internet's favorite single mom. She didn't count on one thing: Judge Judy reading every line like it was a crime scene. The bailiff's voice cracks through the studio. Case of Torres versus Grant, alleged fraudulent child support. Miguel Torres stands at the plaintiff's table. 28, auto body tech, grease under his fingernails he couldn't scrub off in time. He's wearing the only dress shirt he owns, sleeves a little too short, shoulders hunched like he's bracing for another punch he can't see coming. He's suing Talia for $10,000, not because of a breakup, because for 2 years, she's been taking money from him every month for a child she claims is his, and when he finally demanded to meet his son, everything about her story started to crack. The doors open. Talia strides in like it's her runway. Curly hair, half-pinned, big hoops, soft cardigan. One arm cradles a stuffed dinosaur, the other holds a baby blue binder overflowing with paper. She glances at the audience, lets her mouth tremble just enough, then wipes at an eye that isn't actually crying. The dinosaur is a touch of genius. Instant sympathy. She places it carefully on the defendant's podium, right where the cameras can see it. Judge Judy takes the bench. The room rises, then sits. She flips the case file open, but looks at Talia. Not the paperwork, at the defendant's table, she says. Miss Talia Grant, you claim Mr. Torres fathered your son and abandoned him. You've been accepting money from him, and now he's suing you, saying the child doesn't exist. Correct? Talia nods, fingers curling protectively around the dinosaur. Double quotes. Yes, Your Honor, she says softly. He wants to pretend my little boy is fake. Her voice cracks on fake, like the word itself hurts. Judge Judy's eyes don't blink. And you, she says, turning to Miguel, say there is no child. That Ms. Grant scammed you with a fake pregnancy, fake photos, and fake paperwork. Correct? Miguel swallows. Yes, Your Honor, he says. I've been sending her $500 a month for 2 years. I've never seen the kid. Not once. Every time I asked, she had an excuse. The audience murmurs. On one side, abandoned mom. On the other, maybe a deadbeat dad trying to wiggle out of paying. On TV, those roles are easy to assign. In Judge Judy's courtroom. They're not, Miss Grant, Judy says. We're going to start with you. Tell me about this child. Name, age, where he is right now. Talia inhales shakily, painting herself into the role. His name is Mason, she says. He turned 3 in March. He's at my aunt's house. I didn't want to drag him into this circus. He doesn't deserve to see his father act like he never existed. She pats the dinosaur. This is his, she adds. He sleeps with it every night. The camera lingers. Perfect. And Mr. Torres is the father, Judge Judy says. You're sure? Absolutely, Talia says. We did a DNA test. I brought the results. She taps the baby blue binder. There it is. The trump card. Judge Judy gestures to the bailiff. Bring me everything. The bailiff takes the binder, heavy with printed text threads. Photos of a toddler with curly hair and big brown eyes, daycare receipts, and on top a lab report, paternity test, Talia says, chin lifting. 99.6% probability. That's his son. He was fine paying until I asked for more help. Now he'd rather call me a liar than be a father? The gallery murmurs again, sympathy tilting her way. Judge Judy scans the top of the lab report. Logo, address, barcode, big bold words. Paternity test result, positive. Talia watches her like a hawk, waiting for the nod, the yes, this looks legitimate. It never comes, instead. Judy keeps reading, slower. Her eyes narrow just a fraction. Miguel grips the edge of his table. He sent me money at first. Talia continues quickly, trying to keep control of the room. $500 a month. But he never showed up. Never came to birthdays. Then when I said I'd go to court for official child support, he suddenly decided Mason was imaginary. She laughs once, bitter. He told people online I was crazy, said I stole baby pictures off the internet. He got strangers calling me a psycho and a scammer. I brought proof today so everyone can see who he really is. She leans forward, eyes shining. A man who pays for a child for 2 years doesn't get to decide the child stops existing when it's inconvenient. It's a killer line, if it were true. Judge Judy sets the DNA report down. Lines it up perfectly with the other pages. Mr. Torres, she says quietly, why did you pay her for 2 years if you didn't believe the child was yours? Miguel exhales, shoulders sagging. Because I did believe her, he says. At first. She told me she lost her job when she was pregnant. Said she couldn't afford diapers, daycare. I didn't want to be that guy, the stereotype. He swallows, so I sent money, he continues. Every month. I asked for pictures. She sent some. Different ages. I asked for FaceTime. She said Mason was sleeping, sick, with her aunt, with her mom. I offered to pick him up. She said the court hadn't given me rights yet. He glances at Talia. Last year, I asked to see his birth certificate, he says. She sent a picture of one, but the hospital name was spelled wrong. The audience shifts. Spelled wrong how? Judge Judy asks. It said St. Joseph instead of Joseph, Miguel says. And the font looked weird. Like someone edited it. Talia scoffs. I was in labor, she snaps. You think I was checking fonts? We'll get to your fonts, Judy says coolly. Mr. Torres, what made you finally say enough? Miguel's jaw tightens. She slipped, he says. 3 months ago, she texted me a picture of Mason at his first day of preschool, but I'd seen that exact picture before. He looks at Judge Judy. Eyes dark. I googled toddler first day of preschool backpack, and the photo popped up on the first row, he says. Some mommy blog. Her kid's name isn't Mason, it's Eli. Same dinosaur backpack. Same shoes. Same everything. The gallery murmurs sharply now. They've seen catfish clips. But faking a toddler? Even for daytime TV, that's dark. So I stopped paying, Miguel continues. Told her I wanted a real visit or a real DNA test done by a lab I pick. She blocked me. Then I got papers saying she wants child support, and I realized this is a scam. Has been from day one. Talia's cheeks flush. I blocked you because you were harassing me, she snaps. Calling me names. Threatening to expose me on TikTok. I'm not going to feed my baby to the wolves because you're paranoid. Judge Judy holds up a hand. Enough, she says. This isn't social media. Nobody's going viral for the right crying angle in my courtroom. She picks up the DNA report again. Miss Grant, she says, voice suddenly very calm. Which lab performed this paternity test? Talia smiles like she's been waiting. Genetics diagnostics, she says. They do mailing kits. Judge Judy's lips tighten in the ghost of a smile. Genetics diagnostics, she repeats. Spelled. G-E-N-I-K. Yes, Talia says. I ordered it online. Swabbed Mason. Swabbed Miguel. You swabbed Miguel? Judy interrupts. Talia hesitates. Well, no, she admits. I swabbed a toothbrush from his place. Same thing. Miguel stares at her. That was my roommate's toothbrush. He says. The room rumbles. Judge. Judy doesn't react. Not outwardly, but the temperature in the room just dropped 10 degrees. Miss Grant, she says softly. We're going to find out exactly what genetics diagnostics is. She looks at the clerk. Get me a computer, she orders. We're going on a little field trip to the internet. Because if this lab is as fake as that preschool photo, Talia's entire world is about to blow up. The court staff wheel in a monitor and set a laptop on the bench. This isn't standard small claims procedure. This is Judge Judy shifting from judge to hunter. She types genetics diagnostics DNA test into the search bar. Results pop up instantly. sponsored ads, a few review blogs, then 3 entries down, a red flag phrase, novelty DNA results for entertainment only. Judge Judy clicks, a garish website loads. All neon fonts and cheesy graphics, genetics diagnostics, the header screams. Underneath, in smaller letters, prank paternity tests fake results. Real reactions. The air is sucked out of the room. The homepage features videos of people opening fake lab results at parties. Laughter, shock, clickbait titles like, told my best friend he's the father. You won't believe his face. At the bottom, in fine print, not a medical lab, for novelty purposes only, not to be used in court. Judge Judy turns the screen toward the courtroom. Miss Grant, she says. Voice gone dangerously, even, this is where you got your DNA test. Talia's mouth opens, closes. It's a real lab, she stammers. They send real papers. Their most popular product is a "you are not the father" gag. Judy cuts in. The second is, you are the father. You choose which result you want before they print it. Asterisk, she raises the report. You chose this, she says. You paid to order this piece of paper. You did not pay for science. You paid for theater. The gallery explodes in a low roar. Talia grips the dinosaur so hard its stitched eye distorts. I didn't know, she insists. I just Googled cheap DNA test. You thought you could wave an official-looking document in court and I'd swoon? Judy snaps. You were wrong. She slaps the fake result down onto the bench. Let's talk about Mason, she continues. You brought photos. Many photos, some of them I recognize. She holds up a picture of a toddler in high care, spaghetti smeared across his cheeks. This charming mess, she says, belongs to whose blog? Talia's face goes blank. What? She says. We reverse searched it, Judy says. 30 seconds, single quotes littlelioneli.com. Same kid. Same bib. Same caption, spaghetti night wins again. You cropped out the watermark. Slapped it on your stories. Called it your son. Gasps, Talia's chin jets out. I used some stock photos, she admits, for privacy, to represent him. The internet is dangerous, Judge. I didn't want his real face plastered everywhere. Did you tell Mr. Torres they were stock? Judy asks. He never asked, she fires back. He just wanted proof there was a kid. I gave him pictures of a kid. That's what he demanded. Jordan stares at her like he's seeing her for the first time. You told me not to show those pictures to anyone because pedophiles might find him, he says quietly. You weaponized my wanting to protect a child who didn't even exist. Talia glares. You wanted a convenient excuse to never show up. She says, you hid behind concern. Judge Judy bangs her gavel once. Enough, she says. You are not going to gaslight this man in my courtroom the way you did in his text messages. She flips open the blue binder again. Birth certificate copy, daycare invoice, doctor's note. She lays them in a row like specimens. Miss Grant, she says, you spelled the hospital name wrong. You listed a pediatric clinic that closed before this child was supposedly born. And now we've discovered your DNA test and your photos are as real as a cartoon. She leans forward. So I am going to ask you a question I already know the answer to, she says. Where is Mason right now? Talia's lips tremble. At my aunt's, she whispers. I told you. What's the aunt's name? Judy asks. Elaine, Talia replies. Last name, Johnson, address. Talia swallows. I don't have it memorized, she says. I just Uber there. Phone number. She hesitates, stares at the table. I don't think she'd want strangers calling. She says. Judge Judy's eyes go flat. Mr. Torres, she says. In 2 years of sending money, did you ever once drop diapers, formula, toys at this aunt's house? No, Your Honor, he says. I was never given an address, not once. Talia, Judy says, first time she drops the Miss Grant. Does this aunt exist at all? Silence, a twitch in Talia's jaw. Then, she's not really my aunt, she admits. She's just someone who watches him sometimes. Not blood. Judge Judy's patience thins visibly. What is her name? She says, each word crisp. And how do we reach her right now? Talia's shoulders slump. I don't have a number, she mutters. We DM. The gallery reacts audibly. You deem your child's caregiver? Judy asks. You hand off a 3-year-old to someone whose last name you don't know and you contact only through Instagram? It's modern, Talia says weakly. We do everything online now. Stop, Judy says. The only thing you've done online is steal other people's children. Her gaze hardens. Double quotes Miss Grant, she says. There is no Mason, is there? The question lands like a slap. Talia's mouth opens, her throat works. The dinosaur slips from her fingers, landing sideways on the podium. I lost him, she whispers. He died. That's why no body. Judy cuts in. No obituary, no hospital record, no nothing. You didn't lose him, you invented him. The room goes very still. Even the camera operators seem to hold their breath. Mr. Torres, Judy says quietly, you have never met this child because there is no child to meet. He closes his eyes, shoulders shaking once. How long? Judge Judy asks Talia, were you planning to keep this up? Talia's eyes flash not with sorrow, with anger. As long as he kept paying, she spits. As long as it hurt like it hurt when my real baby died and everybody acted like I was being dramatic. There it is. The core. Ugly. Raw. And absolutely damning. Asterisk. For the first time since she entered, Talia isn't performing for sympathy. She's furious. You don't know what it's like, she says, voice cracking. To bleed for a child and then have everyone pretend it was nothing. It happens all the time. You're young. Try again. I promised myself if a man ever did that to me again, he'd feel it. And Miguel did that, Judge Judy says, eyes boring into her. Silence. Talia blinks. He pulled away, she says. He started spending more time at work. He didn't worship me the way he did in the first month. I saw the change. I knew the pattern. You saw a man working overtime to cover your bills, Judy says sharply. He wasn't falling out of love. He was falling into exhaustion. Some in the audience nod instinctively. You never told him you were pregnant, Judy continues. Not really. You waved a dollar store test in his face, said the lines were so faint because of stress, then immediately started talking about rent. Talia winces. You're twisting it, she says. I did what I had to do to survive. You did what you had to do to control. Judy corrects. She picks up the stack of messages Miguel submitted. I have here, she says, 47 screenshots of you threatening to out him as a deadbeat dad if he missed a payment. One where you say, if the baby doesn't exist, they can't prove it didn't. The audience inhales sharply. The words hang in the air like poison. I was venting. Talia blurts, to a friend. She took it out of context. Your friend, Judy says, is sitting in the second row. All heads turn. A woman in a faded denim jacket, early 30s, nervous shifts uncomfortably. Her name tag reads, Kendra Lewis. Talia's eyes widen. No, she whispers. She wasn't supposed to. The bailiff moves. Whistle. Lewis, Judge Judy says, come to the stand. Kendra walks up, hands twisting, eyes fixed on the floor. State your name, the clerk says. Kendra Lewis. She replies, voice small. Ms. Lewis, Judy says. How do you know, Ms. Grant? We were roommates, Kendra says, for a year until... Yes. Why did you contact the show? Judy asks. Kendra glances at Miguel, then at Talia. Because he didn't do anything wrong, she says. And because she asked me to help her lie. Talia slams her palm on the podium. Asterisk. You're pathetic, she spits. You're obsessed with me. You've always been jealous. Another outburst, Judy says coldly. And you will be escorted out of here in handcuffs. Sit down and be quiet, Miss Grant. Talia's mouth snaps shut. Her chest heaves. Ms. Lewis, Judy says gently. What did she ask you to do? Kendra picks at her thumbs. She said small claims cases go viral, she says. She said if she looked like the perfect single mom abandoned by a mechanic loser, she could get sympathy, maybe followers, maybe a sponsor for her mom blog. Miguel's head drops. He had thought most of this was about him. Turns out he was just a casting choice. She told me Mason was real at first, Kendra continues, that she'd lost him years ago. I believed her. I held her when she cried. But then she started reusing the story. Judy's eyes narrow. Reusing, she repeats. New guy, same script, Kendra says. Positive test photos she'd saved, old ultrasound from her cousin she'd cropped her name onto, fake due date. When I confronted her once, she said, and I quote, "If men can reuse lies, so can I." The crowd murmurs. Someone mutters, "That's sick." I didn't know about Miguel until she moved in with me, Kendra goes on. By then she'd already been taking his money. She told me she'd made him a dad without all the strings. She swallows. When she showed me that DNA result from the prank site, she laughed. Kendra says, "Said people believe paper more than people." Talia's shoulders stiffen. "I was joking," she snaps. Dark humor. There's a difference. There's a difference, Judge Judy says, between making a joke and building a life out of one. She focuses back on Kendra asterisk. Did she ever talk about an actual child named Mason? Judy asks. When she held, fed, changed. No, Kendra says. Just an idea, a weapon. The sentence lands like a stone. Judge Judy dismisses her with a nod. Thank you, Miss Lewis. You may step down. Kendra returns to her seat, eyes wet. Talia, Judge Judy says, voice quieter now. Look at me. Talia does, barely. This wasn't about Miguel, Judy says. Not really. This was about you refusing to sit alone with your own hurt. So you built a theater where you were always center stage and cast him as the villain. Talia swallows hard. I didn't think it would go this far, she says. I thought he'd pay for a year, then I'd say Mason went to live with my mom, or something. And in all that, Judy asks, you never once thought, maybe this is wrong? Not when you crop some stranger's child out of their own life. Not when you watch this man send you rent money he didn't have. Not when your roommate begged you to stop. Talia's face crumples. Asterisk, I thought if the world saw me as a good mom, they'd finally stop seeing me as that girl who lost a baby and wouldn't shut up about it. She chokes. I thought, if I couldn't be a real mother, I could at least live like one in people's heads. You could have volunteered in an NICU, Judy says. Babysat nieces, done anything that didn't require a fake corpse. The words are harsh. They need to be. Miguel stares at the fake DNA result, the fake birth certificate, the fake life. All that money, all that guilt. Asterisk, all that love for a ghost. Judge Judy taps her pen once. Mr. Torres, she says, you are never going to meet Mason, but you are going to get something today that you haven't had since this started. He looks up. Validation, she says. On the record. In public. Louder than her lies. Asterisk, Judge Judy straightens, robe rustling softly as the gallery leans closer. This court, she says, finds as fact that no child named Mason Grant exists in any records provided. That the DNA test submitted is from a novelty website that prints whatever result the buyer requests. That the photos Miss Grant presented as her son are stolen from other parents' social media. And that she knowingly took money from Mr. Torres for a child she knew was imaginary. Each word is a blow. Talia sways on her feet. I never meant, she starts. You meant to get paid, Judy cuts in. You meant to get attention. You meant to hurt him. You didn't care what you had to fake to make it happen. She turns to Miguel. How much exactly, she asks. Have you sent her over these 2 years? He glances at his printouts. Total of $9,750, Your Honor, he says. Plus little things like clothes I bought and never got to give. But that's the amount I can prove. Judge Judy nods. In this court, she says, I can award up to $10,000. I am granting you every documented cent, $9,750. Ms. Grant obtained it by fraud. She will pay it back. In full. Talia lets out a choked sound. I don't have that, she says. I can't. You had it when you bought flights and bottle service, Judy snaps. You had it when you moved into nicer apartments. If you can't repay it in one chunk, you will repay it in pieces. Every paycheck. Every side job. This judgment does not disappear because you cry at it. The audience hums low in agreement. But money, Judy continues, is only half of the damage. She looks straight into the camera now. as if addressing the invisible online jury that once convicted Miguel before he ever got to speak. "Miss Grant," she says, "use social media to brand Mr. Torres as a deadbeat dad to a dead baby. She took something as sacred as fatherhood and something as devastating as child loss and turned them into props." She turns back. "In addition to restitution," she says, "this court orders the following conditions." Talia's fingers curl around the dinosaur again, as if the stuffed toy could shield her. "First," Judy says, "you will delete every post, story, and profile that references Mason as a real child. Every ultrasound, every Mason and me caption, every fundraiser plea, gone. Then you will replace them with a statement on each platform, pinned for no less than 1 year, stating that there was no child, that you fabricated your story, and that Mr. Torres did not abandon you or any baby." Talia shakes her head. "People will hate me," she murmurs. "Actions," Judy says, "have reviews." A few chuckles break through the tension. "Second," she goes on, "you will write a letter to every donor who contributed more than $50 to your fake fundraiser, apologizing and acknowledging the scam. Whether they choose to forgive you or sue you is their business, but they will not stay in the dark." Talia's eyes gleam with panic. That's like 100 people," she says. "I don't even know their real names." "The platform does," Judy says. "And you're going to work with them, not against them. If I hear one peep about you dragging your heels, I will personally pick up a phone to the DA's office and suggest criminal charges." Talia visibly swallows that. "Third," Judy continues, "you will complete 300 hours of community service, half at a parenting center that provides real support to low-income families, half at a grief support organization for parents who have actually lost children." Miguel exhales slowly. Even he winces at that one. 300 hours? Talia whispers. "Yes," Judy says. "That's fewer than the number of nights he lay awake picturing a child who didn't exist." She pauses. "During that time," she adds, "you will not present yourself as a coach, a survivor, or a spokesperson. You will be a pair of hands. You will stack chairs, hand out tissues, clean toys, and you will listen." The room is silent. "Lastly," she says, "I will be referring this case and all exhibits, including the fake medical records and stolen photographs, to the district attorney's office for review. Whether they prosecute you for fraud is out of my hands, but they will have everything they need if they choose to." Talia staggers. "That's prison," she says faintly. "That's called consequences," Judy replies. "You gambled with other people's lives. Now you're discovering the house has rules." She softens her tone, not for Talia, for Miguel. "Mr. Torres," she says, "is there anything you want from Miss Grant that this court hasn't covered? An apology? An explanation?" Miguel looks at Talia. Really looks. The girl he once took on late-night drives, who laughed at his stupid jokes, who said she felt safest when she heard him snore. There's no joy on his face, just a tired kind of sadness. "I don't want anything from her," he says quietly. I don't want the next guy to go through this." Judge Judy nods. "The next guy," she says, "just got a warning broadcast in front of millions." She raises her gavel. "This," she says, "is justice for him. What comes next for you, Miss Grant, is up to a higher court and your conscience." The gavel cracks. It sounds like the end of a show, but for both of them, it's the start of something else. The days after the episode airs feel like an X-ray on both of their lives. For Miguel, the shadow finally lifts. He still works at the shop, still wipes grease off bumpers, still argues with insurance adjusters about labor hours, but now customers who once eyed him walk over and squeeze his shoulder. "Just saw you on Judge Judy," an older woman says, handing him her keys. "You bring my car back in one piece and I'll tell everyone I know not to believe gossip over court records." He laughs, embarrassed, but the knot in his chest loosens another notch. At home, his mother rewinds the episode 3 times, not to watch Talia crumble. To replay the moment Judith Scheinlin says, "There is no child. Mr. Torres is not a deadbeat dad." She takes a picture of the screen and sets it as her phone background. "You're cleared, Mio," she says. in God's eyes and on TV. The internet does what it always does. Memes, edits, side-by-side screenshots of the fake genetics diagnostic site and the lab. Report. People react with fury, pity, jokes, disgust, but one comment under a stitched TikTok of the episode stands out. Imagine how many Miguels never get Judge Judy. It gets 300,000 likes for Talia. The aftermath is fire and ice. Fire in her comments. Ice in her DMs. The pinned apology posts. Judge Judy ordered are brutal. Her video is raw, not by choice this time. No filters. Red eyes. My name is Talia Grant, she says. Voice rough. And I lied about having a child named Mason. There was no pregnancy. No birth. No death. Miguel Torres did not abandon me or any baby. The money I took from him and from strangers was obtained through deception. I am sorry. She posts it everywhere. She has to. The comments are a tidal wave. You made every real single mom's life harder. My sister lost a baby. You faked one. I hope the day cooks you. I donated to you. I want my money back and I want you off the internet. Judge Judy is the only reason we know the truth. Respect. Some are more complicated. You clearly have trauma. Go to therapy, not GoFundMe. If your first miscarriage story was real, I'm sorry. That doesn't excuse any of this. Her follower count plummets, then steadies, not at 0, but a fraction of what it was. The DA does open in investigation. Not into fake motherhood as a general concept, into specific fraudulent acts, the novelty DNA. Report. The forged certificate. The fundraiser. Lawyers talk to her. So do. Detectives. She hires. Counsel. So does GoFundMe. In the end, a deal is struck. No prison this time, because she pays back what she can. Because she cooperates. Because the platform agrees to a civil settlement, but a conviction goes on her record. Fraudulent use of documents. Community service is not a TV flourish. It's real. 300 hours. At the parenting center. She sees real parents juggling 3 jobs and 2 kids, stretching every diaper. Some know who she is. Some don't. The ones who do occasionally say things like, "You're lucky that judge made you work instead of locking you up." Asterisk. At the grief center. She meets people whose hearts are broken in ways she only pretended. A man sits with a picture of twins who didn't make it. A woman in her 50s sobs for a baby she lost at 19 and was never allowed to grieve. The director doesn't coddle her. Here, we don't perform pain, she says. We sit in it. One night, after cleaning up spilled coffee and tossed tissues, Talia sits alone in the empty room, staring at the circle of chairs. For the first time, she doesn't imagine herself center stage. She imagines Miguel, years from now, with maybe real kids. Taking them to a park, teaching them how to ride a bike. Not flinching when someone mentions fathers. The thought hurts, because she knows. She almost stole that from him forever. Near the end of her hours, a woman from one of the groups approaches her. "You're the one from TV, right?" The woman asks. "The fake baby girl." Talia nods, shame choking her. "Yeah," she says. "That's me." The woman studies her. "My sister sent me your episode when I had my miscarriage," she says. "At first I wanted to throw my phone. Then I realized, if a judge could rip apart a liar that thoroughly on TV, maybe someone, somewhere, believed women like me too." Talia frowns. "I don't understand," she says. Asterisk. "You took something precious," the woman says. Judge Judy turned it into a warning label. "My brother tried to say I was being dramatic about my grief. I showed him that episode and said, 'This is a liar. This is not me.' He shut up real fast." She shrugs. Asterisk. "You'll be a cautionary tale for a long time," she says. "You can't undo that, but you can decide if that's all you ever are." She walks away, leaving those words behind like a challenge. Miguel doesn't think about Talia every day anymore. Sometimes, when an ambulance brings in a real pediatric emergency, the ghost of Mason flickers at the edge of his mind. Then he forces himself to switch gears. Those are real kids. They need him present. He starts dating again. Cautiously. At first, he warns every woman on the first date. I was scammed, he says. She pretended to have my kid. Some blink. Some say, wait, you're that guy from Judge Judy? Over time, the story moves later in the conversation. Eventually, it becomes something he tells new friends once, then puts back on the shelf. Not his identity. Just a thing that happened. Judge Judy moves on. Hundreds of cases. Thousands of lies. But clips from Torres v. Grant keep circulating. Law professors use them. Ethics seminars play them. Support groups reference them. Not as entertainment. As evidence that sometimes, when the world rewards the best performance, there is still at least one room where evidence matters more than tears. One interviewer asks her years later if she ever feels bad about ruining lives on TV. She doesn't hesitate. I don't ruin lives, she says. I pull the curtain on people trying to ruin someone else's. They do the rest. If this story lit a fire in you, don't just let it burn out. Share it with someone who still thinks faking a child or a miscarriage or any trauma is a victimless hustle. Like the video if you believe real parents and real grief deserve better than to be used as props for pity. Money. And subscribe for more stories where lies walk into Judge Judy's courtroom looking confident and walk out as nothing more than evidence.